Two strangers meet on Christmas Eve. The merriment of the festival accentuates their loneliness. What follows is flirtation, deception, suspense, and since this is a Sriram Raghavan film, murder. The nastiness, tragedy, and inherent comedy of being human is juxtaposed against the cheery hues of red and green. Those glittering lights almost seem to mock the sadness within. In parts, Merry Christmas plays out like a fever dream. Like Sriram's last film, Andhadhun, Merry Christmas is also a twisted thriller, but what stays with you is the relationship between its two leads, Albert, played by Vijay Sethupathi, and Maria, played by Katrina Kaif. At its heart, Merry Christmas is a tender love story between two broken people. But for much of the first half, she doesn't even know his name. Let's stay strangers, she says. It's a darker, less playful version of the game Ved and Tara play in Tamasha, and it all takes place over one night and the next morning. Albert says he's an architect who's come home after 7 years in Dubai. Maria has a little daughter who refuses to speak but carries this giant teddy bear everywhere she goes. The mating dance between the two hovers between creepy and romantic. We're told the story is set in Bombay before it became Mumbai, which means pre-1995. When Maria and Albert go into a movie hall, ads for Little Soap and the cold drink Limca play, which perhaps indicates sometime in the 1980s. The internet, smartphones, and social media haven't made it possible yet to stalk people online, so Maria and Albert must rely on each other's words. It's telling that two people who are lying to each other watch the classic Pinocchio, about a wooden puppet whose nose grows each time he lies. Through the course of the night, Maria and Albert's individual tragedies come to the fore. Love has been their undoing, but the connection they make with each other also becomes a sort of redemption. Sriram's win is the casting. The pairing of Katrina and Vijay is startling in a good way. For more than 20 years, she's been regarded as this glamorous Bollywood star, while his name comes with the epithet Makkal Selvan or People's Man or People's Treasure attached to it. Sriram and his co-writers Arijit Biswas, Pooja Ladha Surti and Anukriti Pandey use this contrast effectively. Her allure is built into the narrative. In one scene, Albert says that he thinks he might be dreaming and he perhaps should just leave before he wakes up. As Maria, Katrina summons a sadness that we've rarely seen before. This is a woman who's endured and is willing to do whatever it takes. There's this long monologue in which Maria reveals her past, which requires the actor to acknowledge her character's circumstances without drama or sentimentality. Katrina plays her with quiet desperation and determination. And Vijay is terrific as a man who starts out trying to be helpful but gets sucked into quicksand. He goes from flirtatious to furious without missing a beat. Albert is wise, sweet, and sad all at once. There are moments here that reminded me of his Virtuoso act in '96. Albert has some of that same vulnerability as Ram. There are long scenes in which Albert and Maria just sit and speak to each other, which reminded me of Yash Chopra's 1969 one-night film Ittifaq, in which also two strangers meet and form a connection. But as I said before, this is a Sriram Raghavan film, so there must be a body, there must be suspense, and there must be Easter eggs galore. This film is dedicated to the legendary filmmaker Shakti Samanta, who made films like Aradhna, Amar Prem, and one of my favorites, Howrah Bridge. Merry Christmas includes a frame of Asha Parekh screaming from Samanta's iconic film Katipatan, the plot of which also hinged on deception. Merry Christmas also leans into the current trend of new films repurposing old songs. We hear snatches of Pyar Ke Mode Pe from Parinda and Jab Andhera Hota Hai from Raja Rani. Maria's house is stacked with murder mysteries, including one by Raymond Chandler. There are references to the Ernest Lubitsch film The Merry Widow. The acknowledgements in the beginning include French director Eric Romer, who was one of the editors of the legendary film magazine Kahies de Cinema, and Tamil director Tyagarajan Kumararaja, whose last film was the terrific Super Deluxe, also starring Vijay Sethupathi. Merry Christmas is a slow burn. When the plot flattens out and starts to push the limits of plausibility, as it does in that second hour, you can divert your attention with these side attractions. Through the film, Sriram uses the motif of birds. The Christmas ornament of a caged bird plays a key role, as does Albert's habit of creating origami animals and birds. In one scene, Albert and Maria make a wish on burning paper swans that he has made. Albert's habit might be homage to the police officer Gaff in Ridley Scott's Blade Runner. Gaff is also a creator of origami figures, which play a key role. Ultimately, Albert becomes the cage bird himself. The story might be a little grim, but Sriram infuses it with mischief and humor, especially with the entry of Sanjay Kapoor, who plays a smarmy character also attracted to Maria. He's great fun. And watch out for Sriram regular Ashwini Kalsekar, who is absolutely terrific. Of course, one of the joys of watching Sriram's films is the way in which he delights in the tools of cinema. Observe how DOP Madhu Neelakandan uses the Christmas lights or the colors red and green, which are also seen in Maria's apartment. Listen to the rousing background score by Daniel B. George and the dexterous use of the Western classical scores. Vivaldi's The Four Seasons and Edvard Grieg's In the Hall of the Mountain King. And applaud that last sequence in which little is said, but everything is revealed. It's what Sriram's biggest influence, Alfred Hitchcock, described as pure cinema. Merry Christmas is based on a French novel, the name of which is revealed in the end credits, but which Sriram has taken great effort to conceal so that no one goes in knowing the narrative twists. Ultimately, though, these twists aren't that delicious. What keeps you hooked is the relationship between the leads. Merry Christmas is an intimate thriller with a lingering ache. You can see the film at a theatre near you. Happy New Year! If you like this review, do subscribe to Reviews and More.